Hi there, lovelies. I'm Rhonda Crimes. I'm a life and leadership coach supporting everyday people just like you to reflect and rework your everyday stories so you can step into the everyday leadership of your families and communities and create compelling, meaningful and fruitful lives every day. And today, let's talk about good and bad generalizations. From following this last series of videos, I hope you've come to realise that I'm of the opinion that it's not necessary to suffer through life. And if there is suffering, it is by choice, albeit unconscious. And by making definitive changes, that suffering can be released for happiness and peacefulness. Most suffering is brought upon us when we've not fostered the capacity to let whatever happens be okay and not resist what is. Now, that's not to say that you're okay with injustice or unfairness or that you don't do anything about them. It means that on an emotional level, you accept that things are the way they are and you don't resist what is. Resisting what is and wanting to change what is are not the same. The difference is all about your attachment to the outcome. If you're attached to the outcome, you will suffer if that outcome isn't met. If, however, rather than being attached to the outcome, you prefer it to be a certain way, when the outcome isn't met, you can remain as happy and peaceful as you were to begin with. So, just on a really simplistic level, I prefer to drink unsweetened orange pekoe tea with rice milk. But if some lovely person makes me a cuppa and puts sugar in or gives me cow's milk, it doesn't cause me any grief or distress. I'm not attached to why they didn't listen to me or why didn't they ask how I like it. I don't resist what is. In fact, I choose to respond with gratitude that they did make me a cuppa. And then I can choose to drink it or leave it. And I'm totally emotionally okay. Your happiness comes from within. It isn't dependent on what's going on around you. For many people, unhappiness is not just coming from the outside. It's on the inside as well. This is happening in unison. The internal unhappiness helps create the external condition that give them something to resist. This is aligned to the saying, your thoughts create your destiny. So going back to my cuppa reference, if I was resistant, I could tell myself things like, see, no one cares what I like. No one listens to what I say. Clearly they don't even love me enough to make my cuppa the right way. And so then I'd respond very differently and the whole situation would head south really quickly. So the good news is that just as you are creating this unhappiness, you can, by the same reasoning, create happiness in its place at any time. As we were growing up, our interactions are creating generalizations about who we are and what our relationship is to the rest of the world. These generalizations are what I've been referring to when we talk about the internal map of reality, and we divide them into two groups. Those we think are good and acceptable, and those we think that are bad and unacceptable. Important to note here is that we don't choose our early beliefs. We soak them up from our early caregivers, our teachers, and from other influences like friends and family and the media. Usually when we are too small to make informed distinctions. These beliefs form the core foundations of how we see ourselves, how we see the other people in the world, and how we see the world. Some give us outcomes and we experience what we want, while others create outcomes and experiences we don't want. Now, this part is really important for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because our brains are powerful goal-seeking mechanisms that make whatever you put into them come true in your life. And secondly, because as human beings, we have a really powerful need for consistency between what we believe to be true and what is really true. Effectively, people would rather be right than happy. Bill Harris from the Centrepoint Research Institute puts it this way. This means that regardless of how much you believe is not representative of how things are, or how much your beliefs result in misery for you, you will arrange to be right about them by creating circumstances that seem to confirm what you believe is true. This is further compounded by the fact that those beliefs or generalizations we've made about ourselves to be bad or broken or not okay or unacceptable are too painful to hold on to at a conscious level. So we suppress and repress them into our unconscious, out of sight. But know this, they are still making an effect on you. The other thing we do with things that we've deemed to be unacceptable is to project them onto others. This is also why we sometimes have extreme emotional reactions to others who exhibit the characteristics we believe are bad in ourselves. Emotional healing involves curious exploration of the beliefs we hold and then a degree of unlearning and making new, healthier options. Most people will never do this. They will just allow the old map to run their life, and from that place of the victim where life is happening to them and they are powerless to do anything about it, they remain in unconscious awareness. Remember that you only continue to do something that is harmful to you if you do it unconsciously. So, how do you evaluate your beliefs? Most people ask if they're true or false, good or bad. But what I feel is a more appropriate metric is whether they are resourceful or non-resourceful. When you consider a belief, ask, does it make you feel expanded, joyful, happy, content, satisfied, courageous, valued, thankful, hopeful, inspired, successful? Or if it gives you an outcome you do want, then it's resourceful. And you know you can choose what you believe, right? It doesn't have to be based solely on experience. I also want to remind you that you can get a copy of my Managing Emotions booklet, which includes the emotion wheel, for identifying emotions that are linked to more resourceful beliefs. Use this link, https://bit.ly/managing emotions with Rhonda. This will be a handy reference to use as you work through the information I talk about in these videos. One way to get to know what you really believe is to answer some simple questions and then write your answers down like you would if no one else was around and you didn't have to answer the right way, or how you think you should, having read all those self-development books. What do you really tell yourself when the shit hits the fan? When you've made a mistake? When you're feeling uncertain? write your answers down to these questions. Number 1, I am, and then fill in the blank. Question 2, people are, and then fill in the blank. And question 3, the world is, and then fill in the blank. Now, don't rush this. Spend some time, come back to it. Allow the repressed beliefs to come to the surface. Keep your curiosity cap on. You aren't deciding if these are true in reality. You're just listing what your unconscious internal map of reality believes for now. Another way to get more conscious about what these beliefs are is to look at what's happening in your life. What are your results right now? Think about it in all your life pillars: relationships and communication, health and vitality, wealth and finances, career and business. Look for areas that you're experiencing difficulty sustaining or getting better results. Now, for this exercise, we're only looking at the core beliefs that appear uncomfortable or non-resourceful. The ones that are comfortable or are resourceful don't need your attention right now. They're doing okay. The next step is to use this list and flip it. Decide what beliefs you would need in order to create the results you do want, and write those down on a fresh piece of paper. I have many tools within my coaching that will help to expedite the results, and I'd love to have a chat if you think I might be able to help you. But if you want to go it alone, flood your brain with them. Try putting these new beliefs up in places where you will see them often. Read them often. Journal about them. Meditate on them. Think about them in the shower, while you're driving, as you're falling asleep, as soon as you wake up. Remember though, that your old thoughts will fight for their own survival, and so be prepared for that. Doing it once is not going to change anything. You need to do it frequently so that they are the first thoughts and the old thoughts fall away. Do you recall how I spoke about how we develop these many unique strategies for keeping us unaware and coming from a place of perceived safe automatic responses? They include focusing on what you don't want or what you want to avoid. The problem with that is your brain doesn't work in negatives. It just knows how to find and focus. Try this. Don't think about an elephant. So in order for you not to think about an elephant, you had to actually bring in an elephant and then try and forget it. Do you get what I mean? About not focusing and not thinking about what you don't want. Beliefs come true where there is consistency between what we believe and reality. And we will do anything to create this consistency. There are generally 3 ways we can create this consistency. 1, we get attracted to people and situations that confirm that the belief is true. 2, we hallucinate the belief is true, even if it isn't. And 3, we act in such a way that people finally comply and act in the very way we feared they would act. With all 3, you get to be right about what you believe. Now, going through a process like this and the previous videos takes time. So let it be okay that it will take time. You haven't got to where you are right now overnight. And you'll not make lasting changes overnight. To think so is unrealistic and will most likely set you up to feel failures. I'm all about progress, not perfection, and taking baby steps in the direction of where you want to head. Getting curious and enlisting the observer or watcher to witness from a dispassionate perspective. Making changes like this does take time, but it is so worth it. You'll notice that the unconscious automatic response mechanisms of the past begin to fall away and are replaced by responses that are based upon resourceful beliefs that lead toward a more happy and peaceful life. So remember that you are already an expert on what you believe and focus on. You simply need to consciously change your beliefs and refocus on that which you are now choosing. Bill Harris sums this up beautifully. Once these unconscious generalizations about yourself have become conscious and have been changed to reflect what you consciously choose for yourself, you are free. So next week, I'm going to talk about the neutral universe. I hope you can make it. Please be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe, or a like and a love and follow, depending on the platform that you're viewing this video on. And please also remember, if your now is not the picture you've painted for yourself and you'd like any help on this discovery path, or maybe something completely differently that you intuitively know or feel isn't letting your true colours shine through, then please do get in touch with me. You can do it really easily. Just leave me a comment, send me a private message, drop me an email, or pop over to my Calendly online diary using the link I've provided, and we can set up an obligation-free curiosity call and see if we're a good fit for each other. Much love. Until next time.